So, I am in Ann Arbor, Michigan, visiting friends. One is a doctor who works for the VA hospital here, and the other is a consultant who works for a large national sports entity developing character building programs in schools and also other things like rehabilitation of people whose sports career has come to an end. They're both just incredible people who work very hard to facilitate healing and good things in people's lives. They have amazing children, they also have an amazing dog and cat that are sitting here on the other end of the sofa with me. They've all gone to work. I'm catching up on the weekend's news. Oh, joy. I'm still working my second cup of coffee. But it's kind of like this. It's very obvious, once again, we have a president who is determined to destroy the economy so that people who work for a living, like virtually everyone I know and love, will either lose their job or have to take a drastic pay cut just to keep a job. And of course, because of that, they may lose their homes. Farmers are already talking about the terror they have of losing their farms because we're no longer exporting crops to countries that we're putting tariffs on. So how are they going to sell that crop and pay the mortgage, et cetera? I mean, the pattern is very clear for one simple reason. Even Trump has talked about how the wealthy do better when the economy tanks because people have to get rid of stuff or it gets taken away from them, and then it gets resold for about 10% of its value. In other words, the oligarchy, friends of the Republican Party, and too many Democrats plan on making out like a bandit by destroying everybody else's lives in this wonderful country of ours. My mother, who started out in serious Appalachian poverty, a whole lot more serious than that of Vice President J.D. Vance, my mother grew up with her single mother and 4 other sisters sharecropping cotton in northeast Georgia to pay the rent on an abandoned train station that somebody owned. The trains were still going by outside, they just didn't stop there anymore. They hauled water from the neighbor's well in buckets. And my mother got a scholarship at 15 to get a high school education, which was unheard of in the early 1920s in rural Georgia. So that she could, as she said, I knew no one would ever take care of me, especially a man, and I'd better get an education and get out of there, or I'd go crazy chopping cotton the rest of my life, which is in fact what happened to her younger sister, Frances. Francis's son, by the way, is a serious Trump-loving retired Baptist minister in Commerce, Georgia. And my cousin Roger refers to me as the pathetic pervert, and his only interest in me is saving me from my sins in the name of Jesus. But he thinks Donald Trump is the second coming of Christ. So I know who these people are. And they don't care about anybody but themselves. And more Americans are finally waking up. But guess what? The next time we liberal, socialist, queer Democrats try to tell you somebody is dangerous, you should listen to us. Because those of us who are in the minority in this country, black people, brown people, other people of color, Native Americans, and yes, queer people. We know what's going on, and we don't easily succumb to all the propaganda, the mainstream feel-good, oh, this guy is going to save you propaganda that so many of the rest of my white family and friends seem to be vulnerable to. Nobody's going to save you but yourself. And you voted for this guy because he promised to bring back the glory of the American people. Hitler promised the same thing. And look how that ended up. So when your kids lose their jobs, when your grandkids can't find a job, when your grandkids can't even go to school after high school because all the financial aid money has dried up, but the high school was so poor because it wasn't getting any federal money. But oh yes, you could always go to a voucher school. The only problem is if your voucher doesn't pay the tuition, then you're going to have to cough up the difference. And people like Betsy DeVos and her brother Eric Prince are going to make money off of those private voucher schools. People, wake up. The government exists to serve everybody. That includes poor people. And guess what? Lots of us come from a poor background and understand that. Both my parents worked 2 jobs to get ahead. Now the only second job anybody can get is McDonald's for minimum wage. My mother Edna said it best. You know what makes the mule trot? Money. Follow the money. That's the truth. Everything else is just bullshit and reality, not reality, bullshit and lies to distract you while the pickpocket is stealing your wallet or your purse. When are you going to wake up? When are you going to wake up, America? I'll tell you one thing. I have pink skin and blue eyes. And right now, it's very embarrassing for me to be a white person in this country because too many of the other white people are acting like complete idiots, singing the praises of Mango Mussolini, Orange Hitler, who is destroying this country out from under us. And too many of you voted for him. And I hope you're beginning to feel the regret. Oh, and by the way, this especially goes to all of my brother's Army veteran buddies who are all sucking off the government tit, first for 20 or 30 years in the Army, and now a nice fat pension, and they all think Donald Trump is the second coming of Jesus, and complain about people sucking off the government tit, and that's what they've been doing their whole lives. Yeah, I'm mad. And I'm glad the rest of the country is getting mad too, because hopefully this insanity will stop, because the Republicans in Congress will stop in lockstep voting for everything this guy wants to pass when they start realizing the people back home in their districts are looking for ways to get rid of them, and some of those ways may not be legal or very nice. Anyway, y'all have a wonderful day, and don't you love America? We're a nation of anarchists. Don't mess with us. Because if we figure out the government isn't working for us, we won't put up with it for very long. Just ask the British in the late 1700s. Hope you're having a wonderful day.